Welcome back to 760 Sports. I'm Eduardo Espinosa, and today's episode is going to be a really interesting one. We're going to talk about the NFL and the things that have happened so far with quarterbacks and these long, extensive contracts. And for this, I brought two special guests from different sides of the countries. We have Carlos Soberanes from Hesperia, California, and Matthew Freeman from Orlando, Florida. Gentlemen, let's start with Matthew. And our first topic will be Cam Newton signing to the Patriots as a replacement for Tom Brady. What are your thoughts on this new contract deal, and what can we expect out of Cam Newton for the Patriots?
I'm sort of flip-flopped with this decision because on one hand, I think Bill Belichick is a great mind. They have a great organization with the Patriots. But on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of Cam Newton. With that Super Bowl, it really affected him and is playing in a very bad way. So it's up to Belichick really to kind of make Cam grow up. And from what we've seen with Cam and his social media, it seems like he's moving on from that childish act over in Carolina, and he is focusing more on his playing ability and more about his talent in New England.
Well, based from what I've seen, like in the past, Bill Belichick, he has wonders of making very little known quarterbacks or very experienced quarterbacks into talented athletes. We've seen this in the past with Matt Castle, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett. So if anybody can make a quarterback succeed in his system, it's Belichick. And even though they don't have that great pieces on offense, I mean, if anybody can make magic, it's definitely Cam Newton.
I've always thought Cam Newton has had the talent to be a top-level quarterback like Tom Brady or Drew Brees, but again, he's been so young throughout his career. He's just kind of getting to that age where he's now becoming a veteran of the game.
And now switching over, Patrick Mahomes, perhaps one of the biggest contracts to ever be signed in the NFL. 10-year contract with the Chiefs, a contract that's worth over $400 million. What are your thoughts on this new deal?
I think Patrick Mahomes was very smart with this deal. The fact that let's put it out there, 10-year contract is never heard of, especially in the NFL. With that 10-year plan, he's actually taking a little bit less money off the bat to help his team keep that money in order to keep his teammates that he has now, like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They're going to be good for a good couple years, but with that contract being so long and it being so much, it will affect the team toward the end of that 10-year deal.
We all knew that this was going to happen. After Mahomes' first year and after the Super Bowl, everybody knew he was going to get that contract extension. But a 10-year deal is a long-term commitment for both the Chiefs and from Mahomes. And what we've seen from him on the field, how he can throw the football, how he makes plays out of nowhere, I think it's well-deserved. But like you said before, it's rare that we ever see 10-year contracts, and it definitely is. But the reason why is because a lot of players never play through. Some of the impressive players in the NFL, like Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, and Brett Favre, those guys signed 10-year deals, but they never played them out. Mahomes, I think he is safe, though. He's young, he's talented, and he can make his team better. And really, with how the AFC right now is set up, there are a lot of teams on the rise. The Chiefs are just the de facto favorites to be the top team for the next, 6-7 years. And it just goes to show you that they are more than ready to give this kid the keys and say, you are superstar, guide us to the future, give us more Super Bowl rings, and just keep making this team great and better as the years go on.
So we saw with the Black Lives Matter movement, Colin Kaepernick got to work out with the LA Chargers, and rumors are speculating that he can probably sign with the LA franchise. Was it a bit of a peer pressure from everything that's going on outside of the sport?
Well, I actually think it's kind of not necessarily peer pressure. I mean, it's just the obvious looking at it. We've seen a lot of different quarterbacks sign with different teams. Some guys, they haven't really played that many games. I think Colin Kaepernick has the potential to be a full-time starter, not because Black Lives Matter, the publicity the backlash he faced from the NFL because he kept kneeling during the anthem, but I mean he's still a very talented quarterback. Let's not forget 2012 he led his 49ers to the Super Bowl and was one play away from winning it. Now maybe he lost a step or two in the following years after Harbaugh left and his team fell apart, but overall I think Kaepernick has a chance to play in the NFL again, play with a team, and maybe even start for a team. Why? Because I think he has the skill set and he has just the incredible athleticism to make stuff happen that very other backups can do. And that's why I think he can potentially sign somewhere, maybe with the Chargers, maybe with the Jaguars.
I think he does deserve a tryout, but I think it was a little bit of peer pressure from these Black Lives Matter movements and the protests happening right now, because you've seen the NFL players even mention to Roger Goodell, hey, you didn't even you guys remember the statement that the NFL made regarding Black Lives Matter. They didn't mention Colin Kaepernick's name, and the NFL players actually had a bit of a problem with that. So I think it is a bit of a peer pressure to bring Colin Kaepernick back. Not that I'm saying he doesn't deserve it. He is more talented than most of the backups there in the NFL. And like you said, he could probably start at a number of teams like the Chargers and like Jacksonville. Kaepernick definitely does deserve this workout. Now, whether he actually gets it or not, that's up to him. I don't know what he's been doing ever since he was released. I know he's been working out. I know he's been in the gym. I know he's been training. But how good actually is he? How good is he on the field? How good is he during a game? We won't know that until we actually see that. So,
and to close it off, gentlemen, in this great episode we've had so far, going back to Mahomes' deal, which player currently in the league do you guys think will be the next one to get not necessarily such a big deal like Mahomes got, but a similar contract extension?
That honestly would be tough. I mean, if you base it off on the divisions, a lot of teams have really good quarterbacks. But if I were to do it based on, conference, I think in the AFC, I honestly could really see probably like Lamar Jackson. I mean, he did incredible things in his first, full season in the NFL, similar like Mahomes did. Now, yeah, he did lose in that divisional game against the Titans, and a lot of people told him that, maybe he doesn't have it in him. But I mean, again, he rushed for 1,000 yards and threw for 4,000. He's an incredible athlete. He's he was the MVP this year. So if anybody in the AFC could do it, probably Lamar Jackson. Maybe not as much, but he could definitely get a nice big extension like that.
Now, I think the next player, not that I'm saying he deserves this, but I think the next player is probably going to be Dak Prescott, because he is pressuring Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys so much and so hard to pay him. I don't know if he's wanting more than Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if he's wanting the same as Patrick Mahomes, but Dak Prescott does not deserve the same amount of money as Patrick Mahomes. But Dak Prescott keeps pressuring Jerry Jones and Dallas to give him this contract. And I don't think anyone really wants to give him the contract. I don't think anyone in the Cowboys organization wants to give him the contract. I don't think Cowboys fans even want Dak Prescott to get that kind of contract. But I think that is what eventually is going to happen.
Well, thank you guys for coming on to the show. But before we go, where can we find you guys at?
You can find me at my Twitter at @VMattFree and on my Instagram at Matt_Freeman850.
And you can find me on my Instagram, Soberanes33. Just type that. You can find me there. And I also do a podcast called And It's Good, where I talk about the NFL landscape right now. You can go listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can. And I hope you go enjoy that listen.
Thank you guys once again for coming in. And make sure to stay safe in these weird and hard times.
You too, Eduardo. Thank you for letting us on the show.
Thanks, man.